week's episode of Assassination Classroom. Class 3E finally kills Koro Sensei. Is what I would be saying to you if their plan actually worked. Come on, guys, I think we all know that going into this week's episode, there was no way they were going to kill Koro Sensei. A lot of the fun of this week's episode is getting to see how Koro Sensei was actually going to escape from their very elaborate plan, which is like a board game of Mousetrap, except that unlike that one, it actually works. The problem is, and I'm going to say it right now, Koro Sensei, you are haxed. You are a Haxosaurus Rex. It's not enough that he can regenerate his body and frickin' remove his skin for a once-a-month get-out-of-jail-free card, but he has another ability which is basically just as good, if not better, where he basically condenses his entire body into this ball-like form, and the outside is covered in this, like, crystal-like coating, which pretty much protects him from anything. A nuke couldn't even destroy it. He's got an ace in the hole and a trump card. Despite the fact that their plan didn't work, actually seeing it in action is pretty fun. In fact, the first part of it is really funny. Just getting to see the homemade video they made about him, which goes over the course of an hour long, and it's just embarrassing footage of Koro Sensei, and it's pretty freaking embarrassing. It's just a lot of footage of him dressed as bugs, reading porn in the woods, and then of course there's where he's cross-dressing as a woman, trying to get into an all-you-can-eat cake buffet, which is just for women, by the way, which is just really sad and hilarious. And when it's all out there, he's just completely exhausted and has no strength left. They trick him into watching the entire movie, he gets caught in the high tide, and he absorbs all the water like a frickin' sponge. Then they shoot off his tentacles, and then that's when all hell breaks loose. They rip away the walls, and then they somehow have these weird water jetpack type things that they're riding on, and they create this like giant wall of water, and that's where the snipers come into play. And they actually have these dummies which are up on the mountain, which have their scents on them, which they use to try and trick Koro Sensei, which for the most part does work, because they're actually hanging out in the water, and as soon as they hit him, point blank range, there's this massive, ridiculous electrical explosion, and that's actually him transforming into this weird condensed ball form of himself. Now, this does have a huge drawback. Apparently, over the course of a day, he cannot do anything in this form. He actually has to have someone carry him around. And eventually, he's just going to break free and regenerate. And when this happens, apparently there's going to be another resulting explosion, so I can't wait to see how that's going to work. The second half of the episode is where things really start to get interesting, though, because Class 3E is completely bummed over the fact that they couldn't kill Koro Sensei. They put all of this work into their plan, and they're all completely exhausted. And that's because they've actually all been poisoned by this other group of assassins who are trying to kill Koro Sensei. They call up Karasuma on the phone, and they demand that they give them Koro Sensei in the ball form so that they can kill him. So, what are they going to do? They're going to recruit their best and well-groomed assassins, go up to this mansion at the top of this freaking island, and fight against these group of assassins, trying to find this remedy so that they can heal their friends and hopefully not have someone else kill Koro Sensei, because they want that money. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of Assassination Classroom? This was a very interesting episode, which was definitely action-packed, as the title of the episode would imply, and I think that's very welcome. It's something that I've been wanting to see for a long time, and just getting to see all the individual members of Class 3E working together, using their individual skills, is very nice, and that plan was amazing. It really did seem like it was going to work, and even Koro Sensei himself was pretty impressed by the plan, but again, he had another one of his weird, ridiculous hacked abilities, which can get him pretty much out of anywhere. The most interesting element for me is this other group of creepy assassins who just come out of nowhere, who poison the entire class. They have this own homemade remedy, and apparently they have to be really, really quick about it. They don't really show who these guys are. You know, at first maybe I thought this could be the Reaper, and it might be that weird God of Death, Grim Reaper, Shinigami character, whoever you want to call him. They introduced him in the last episode, or at least they brought him up. Maybe this could be him. Maybe I think that's a little too early to maybe introduce that character. But what is interesting to note is that in this week's episode, in the intro, there is some brand new imagery. Most of it is just of the students just hanging out at the island dancing, which honestly I think adds a little more life to the intro, but there's also a few new characters who show up who seem like they're involved like in this like big tower that's at the top of this island, and they're all shrouded in shadow and they look all mysterious. Basically, it looks like they're going to be the villains of this arc, and this is a very interesting tone for this series. Although it kind of makes sense, it kind of gives it more of that shonen vibe, and this is a shonen-based series, so I think that actually does make sense. On the technical side of things, this was a very nice-looking episode, especially when they finally started to pull off their plan. It looked really awesome. It was very nice and explosive, especially with Koro Sensei. That was great. And the way they animated that creepy guy on the phone, that was just absolutely disturbing. Just that you could see just nothing but his lips and his teeth, and it seems like he had some scars on his face. I cannot wait to see who these guys are and what their big plans are for Koro Sensei and how they think they're actually going to be able to defeat him, because if a nuke can't open his weird ability, I don't know what they're planning on doing. But then again, if it is the Reaper, who knows? We're just going to have to wait and see. All I know is I like this episode quite a bit. Definitely one of my favorite episodes from the entire series. So I'm going to give this one right here a 4 out of 5. A really, really great episode that you should definitely check out if you're a fan of the manga version or if you've been watching the anime series. So check it out, guys. Great episode. So I like this episode quite a bit, but what about you guys? Did you watch this week's episode of Assassination Classroom? What did you think of Class 3E's plan? And what's the deal with these weird other assassins? What's their deal? Please tell me what you hope to see from the rest of Assassination Classroom Season 1. Thank you guys for watching my review. Make sure to like the video, share it with all your friends, and to subscribe to the channel. Make sure to also follow us on social media. Thank you guys again for watching, and as always, stay dandy, baby.